Hey, what's up, all you huntsmen and huntresses out there? I'm Deuce Disney, and I'm coming at you with another episode review of RWBY. This time it's Volume Seven's Episode 7, titled Worst Case Scenario. And it really is just that because oh, Penny, poor Penny. She was framed for something she didn't even do. Poor little robot girl is absolutely crushed being comforted by a random robot arm, which reminds me of Dummy from the very first Iron Man movie. But she's in a bad spot, very confused, very lost. Oh, poor Penny. As Ironwood has basically put the city of Mantle under even more of a lockdown, not allowing people to gather en masse. No mass gatherings. Again, a very topical thing for 2020, which says a lot about this series, considering a lot of this came out like 2019 and then made its way into early 2020 before the whole pandemic thing started. So, like, yo, topical, but no mass gatherings, social distance, wash your damn hands. Which is just a rule of thumb overall. But they also talk about the fact that the news talks about the fact that while they receive reports that the footage was doctored, people are still calling for Penny's robot head. Meanwhile, we get to see the abilities of Robin Hill's Mary Happy Huntresses. I want to say Merry Men, but Happy Huntresses. One of them, May Marigold, is actually able to create this invisible field around them. That's why before, when we first encountered them, they were able to sneak up on Clover and Crow and Ruby and all that. That's May Marigold's ability, an invisible field. Um, we also see that they're stealing supplies that are meant for the New Amity Coliseum with the ability of Fiona Thyme, who originally was actually injured, and you see a bit of the bandaging around her waist by Tyrion during his attack on Robin Hill's, little election campaign rally thing. But she seems to be fine for the most part, thankfully, but we actually get to see her ability, which in truth was actually supposed to be an ability for oh, I am really just forgetting his name. Torchwick, Roman Torchwick, Torchwick, Roman Torchwick. The bowler hat guy, the Clockwork Orange looking dude, which is the ability to store things within a pocket dimension, like deep pockets. But, we're seeing that ability here where she's able to just take things within her right hand into a pocket dimension to store them till later, which is pretty cool. Like, yo, them some deep pockets. But they've been making out away with shipments, which is gained the ire of Ironwood, as he's just like, oh my god, Jacques Snee is on the council seat, Robin Hill's stealing our supply runs to the Coliseum, stopping us dead in our tracks. What can we do to get more material for the Coliseum to get it into orbit? And because of everything that's been happening, Winter actually suggests full on declaring martial law and just basically taking what they need from Mantle, which Nora takes a great deal of issue with because you know where she's grown up in with the way that her home was attacked by Grimm and all that good stuff. you know Actually, I kind of feel that there might be something deeper there because wasn't Nora just an orphan at that point? But Nora is taking a great deal of issue with the way that Ironwood is doing things, feeling that ultimately doing what he's suggesting and just taking from Mantle is just going to cause more people to hate, to fear, and to attract more Grimm, causing even more problems and loss of life. So both Ruby and Nora feel that there must be another way, that they need to just tell people about what's going on. But Ironwood feels that without the satellite sending out a mass message, it's just going to get construed or taken in a different way by their enemies. It opens up too many possibilities for things to go wrong. Well, even more wrong than they already are. But that's not why everybody else is here. No, the reason why they invited Ruby, Nora, and Ren is because they identified the real attacker at Robin Hill's rally as Tyrion Callows, a serial killer, basically, who originally was arrested and being transported, only for the transport to be attacked by Grimm. And it's just like, okay, yeah, are you sure that's him? Because he was presumed dead. We would have hoped he was dead. But no, they say that he is a part of Salem's gang, and it's obvious that Salem has plans to divide the people of Atlas and cause even more problems. But Ironwood feels that they already have enough problems as is. So he wants everyone to do their best to actually bring in Robin Hill so they can have a sit down and to do what they can to protect the transports. So, and just keep the Grim at bay for the most part. So Ironwood is very much at the end of his rope. He's not he's very obvious that he's not sure which way his heart should go in a lot of these matters. He feels what he's doing is right, but is it? It begs the question. A question that arises when Yang and Blake are on a special mission to go after Robin Hill along with the Ace operatives should the moment arise. So, we have this little bit of a heart to heart between Yang and Blake, where they question if what Ironwood is doing is right. Yang is more on the side of they should have been more upfront with Ironwood. If he knew the whole picture, maybe he wouldn't be making the decisions that he is making. But Blake isn't so sure because of the decisions he's currently making. It's a very complicated situation. But Blake also is kind of lamenting what they ended up doing with Adam, questioning where they will have to go next, to what lengths they will have to go next. Yes, Adam needed to be taken down, but that's not really what, Blake is all about, just murdering her problems away. Yeah, he was a bad person and he needed to go down, but she didn't want that blood on her hands. She just wanted him to stop, to just leave her alone. She didn't want to have to end things that way. And she feels guilty about that because she's a good person, because she's not a murderer, unlike Tyrion, who revels in just killing people. It's a slippery slope once you think that you can just murder your problems away. You know, under a court of law judged by your peers, that's one thing. But to just be like, okay, this person needs to die, that's a rough thing to have to go through. But we then switch over to the situation with Penny, where they're trying to upload her visual data to hopefully clear her name of the events. But, it's very obvious that people just want Penny dismantled and destroyed. And it's really a hard thing. Penny's mind is racing through a lot of these events, not sure of what to do. And Pietro is kind of at a loss as well. Weiss questions who would have access to that kind of the systems needed to do something like this. And while Pietro says that, well, Mantle is easier to hack into, they were able to gain all the visual data they needed to frame Penny from the security footage in Mantle. But doing so up at Atlas would be a trickier situation, as only so many people would have access to that, with Weiss noting that some of those systems could be accessed by Schnee personnel. It's obvious she's going somewhere with that, but she's not quite sure. Now, there's also the question of what'll happen should Penny actually end up being destroyed. Ruby wonders if maybe just like the situation with Amity Coliseum, they'll be able to restore her fully should that need arise. But, Petra goes on to say that, there was a time when Penny was almost not even a possibility. But, both Pietro and Ironwood wanted to create a defender with a soul, not just a mindless automaton. So he worked tirelessly with his team, and it was through giving Penny part of his own aura that he was able to bring her into being. Should Penny be destroyed this time around, he wouldn't have the strength to give her that piece of himself that would make her whole. This is seen as very dangerous and a reason why Pietro is in such terrible health for the most part. And they kind of question who could possibly be behind all this hacking going on, with the revelation that Arthur Watts once worked closely with Pietro looming overhead. But as Blake and Yang end up being on the transport that is attacked by Robin Hill with the Ace operatives and other transports, they end up giving chase as she and her happy huntresses escape. They have a brief scuffle before they corner Robin Hill and try to convince her that they're trying to be on her side, warning her of the other Ace operatives making their way onto their position. And they try to convince her that the supply runs to Amity Coliseum are necessary as Ironwood is trying to make a communications tower. So Robin Hill, being none too openly trusting, asks for one of their hands. And as Blake reinforces what they told her, we find out that Robin Hill's semblance is a lie detector. And she questions why it would need to be something that's so kept under wraps. But Yang and Blake warn that there are forces out there looking to cause more trouble, and should something like that come out, the more it would concentrate attacks on the satellite. And while Robin Hill questions who would be organizing something like that, why do attacks like that? But, Yang and Blank aren't willing to put that information out there just yet, as, Ironwood doesn't want that information out there. But Robin Hill ultimately says that she won't stop her attacks until she knows the full story, until she's certain of what Ironwood is up to. Meanwhile, Ironwood has a little bit of a meeting with Oscar, showing off the relic they have in their possession, and him telling Oscar that ultimately the relic that they have actually is what keeps Atlas afloat. Not gravity dust, but the relic itself. And it was Ozpin's idea originally, which kind of shocks Oscar a little bit. That, everything hinges on the relic, which really makes me wonder, oh yeah, that relic is definitely being removed. And just like with the Master Emerald on the floating island in Sonic the Hedgehog, that thing's gonna come crashing down right on the mantle. It's gonna be chaos and pandemonium. But Ironwood really wanted something here to jog Ozpin out of Oscar, but to no avail. And ultimately, Ironwood is at a bit of a loss. He doesn't know what to do because of everything going on. He wonders, if what he's doing is right. But he also thinks back to what happened at the fall of Beacon. That moment where all of his forces seemed so paltry and incapable, and the massive loss. How Salem basically taunted all of them with her attack. He kind of got scared. He's nervous. He's not sure of what he's doing anymore. But Oscar goes on to say that, while he might not fully be Ozpin, his advice here is to open up, to talk to people he might not want to talk to, lest something end up happening. That ultimately, while he does trust Ironwood, he also has other people he trusts, and Ironwood should do the same. Talk to more people, get more people on his side, confide in more people about what he's doing. Basically telling him not to be what Ozpin ultimately was in the end, and causing all the trouble that he did. But ultimately, Ironwood will have no choice, as Winter presents him with a letter inviting him over to see Jacques Snee, thus ending the episode. Oh man, that whole situation. I was wondering, there had to be more about how Penny was brought back, and I'm glad that there are actually consequences should Penny end up being damaged yet again. Penny is a unique situation, and there had to have been some unique means as to how she was brought back. So knowing that another time around might be the end for her, that puts a lot of stakes on keeping Penny alive and around. And it feels like it's only a matter of time before Pietro bites the big one. He's not looking too good. And the heart-to-heart between Yang and Blake was also deeply interesting, as it really goes to show that what happened with Adam really is hanging heavy on Blake's soul. She was close to Adam, despite everything, and killing him, killing an old friend, that's not something you ever want to have to do. That's not something anyone should ever have to do. But what's done is done. But that's all the more reason Blake doesn't want to end up hurting someone who's actually trying to help people, not just after their own personal gain. She knows what an agenda looks like, so she has to ultimately question what the right path in all of this actually is not as clear cut as it was before. And when it comes down to Robin Hill and her happy huntresses, where is that going to lead? Is Robin ultimately still going to commit these attacks? Will Robin ever be in the know? And will she ultimately gain that seat on the council that she very much needs to be on? If she was working properly with Ironwood, a lot of problems would be resolved. And the situation with the relic, that relic is definitely getting stolen. Like, that relic is definitely getting stolen. Atlas is gonna come tumbling down on top of Mantle, mass loss of life. It's gonna be chaos. It's gonna be pandemonium, and it's gonna attract a load of Grim. It feels like it's only a matter of time. By this revelation, it's literally the writing staff telling us, hey, Chekhov's gun. There's no way that thing is not getting removed and that problems aren't going to arise. It's only a matter of time. But, that ends the episode. It's hard to tell where things are going to go. Things are so, you know, there's so much going on and nothing is clear cut. Who is right? Who's wrong? Everybody's kind of right. Everybody's kind of wrong. And that's what makes it so fascinating. Everybody has these human responses to everything that it feels like it's only a matter of time before some ideals start to clash. But tell me your thoughts on this episode in the comment section below. What do you think about Robin Hill? What do you think about the situation with Penny and how she might not be restored? Tell me your thoughts and more in the comment section below. If you liked this video, leave me a like. If you didn't, feel free to leave me a dislike and subscribe and hit the bell icon. That way you never miss out on another episode review of RWBY Volume 7. Until then, I've been Deuce This Zen, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.